Hi, everyone. This is Michael Graham from Graham Med Legal Research, and I recently came across a medical legal analysis AI platform called Verix AI that I am so blown away by and absolutely impressed by. I felt like I had to throw together a little impromptu video to put this on folks' radar. Now, it doesn't matter whether you're an attorney or an expert or an LNC. I feel like you absolutely have to know about Verix AI because it is going to change the way we do what we do, how we do it, our workflow, everything. So, before I dive in, I have two little prefaces. The first is about AI adoption in general. Now, I feel like it doesn't matter where we fall on that AI adoption spectrum. Maybe we're on the one end of the extreme where we've already dove in both feet first and we're already constantly playing around with these tools and experimenting with them and testing how they fit into our workflows. Or maybe we're on the other end of the spectrum where we're very fearful and suspicious of their capabilities. We're, thinking, oh man, this could remove me from my career. It could put me out of business. Or maybe we're somewhere in the middle of that adoption spectrum. It doesn't matter where you fall. I feel like it's our obligation to stay up with these trends and these technologies, and it does not do us a service to stick our head in the sand. If you happen to be on that fearful, anxious, suspicious end of the spectrum, and you feel like a tool like Verix AI that can do an incredibly accurate medical chronology in a few minutes and speed up how you put together reports. If you feel like that does threaten your business model, then you should know about it, and then you can pivot your business, and all the better to be strategic and proactive. Okay, I do want to say, however, that Verix AI, it does not remove the expert at all. Okay, so it's an interactive tool and it helps experts be more effective and productive. All right, it does not remove the human from the loop. Okay, it very much keeps the human and the expert who we always need in that loop. Okay, so that's the first preface. The second preface is I'm just going to say this video is not going to be the most incredibly polished. It's going to be a little rough around the edges. And, as I kind of move around the Verix AI platform, but I feel like there's a little bit of value in that roughness because it's going to show you how incredibly intuitive and easy to use this platform is. Like I mentioned, I've only been using it for a couple days. I've spent only, a couple hours playing around with it, and you'll see how just easy it is to pick it up and figure it out. There's no need for, 30 hours of training videos. There's no one-on-one trainings. There's no tutorials. You don't need to sift through a 100-page PDF. This is so incredibly easy. Okay, so those two prefaces aside, let's dive into Verix AI. So once you've signed up, let's say you're an expert or an LNC and an attorney wants you to review a case. You're going to get an email like this, and it's just going to say, hey, law firm, CM, this is not a real law firm. It wants you to review this case. And I also want to say this is not a real case that we're going to look at. Okay. So you're going to get this email, and here's the link. So Verix AI is a completely closed system, HIPAA secure, SOC 2 certified. It's completely, HIPAA compliant. You don't need to worry about safety and privacy. And it is using natural language queries. So it's very easy to move around and figure out. All right. So you're going to click this link, and it's going to take you to the Verix AI platform. And here's my little information up here. I've already signed up. It took me all of about 4 minutes, I think, to enter all that information. And then you're going to see the cases that you're going to be reviewing. Now, in this hypothetical scenario, the law firm uploaded all the stuff it wants me to look at and review. You could do it the other way from the L&C side or whoever you are. You could upload all of the medical records and everything and then say, hey, I want you to review this. So here it'll have the little case information. If you have multiple cases, they'll just stack on down the line here. So I'm going to take you over to the tabs here on the right. And the first one is clinical notes. So if you open that up, it's going to have all 36 of these medical records that have been uploaded for me to review. And you just click on one, it's going to pull up a PDF version. You can scroll down. If you just want to go through them one at a time, you can click these arrows and navigate that. You can download them. I'll just show you another one quick for an example. So there we go. The next tab is imaging. And then here it looks like we have 10 images to review. And this is laid out the same as the medical records. You can scroll through them here. They'll have little descriptions. You can click the arrows, go through. So yeah, I'm not a cardiologist, so I have no idea what I'm looking at. But as you can see, incredibly clear resolution, very easy to review, has all the information here. You also have a bunch of cool tools up here. You can do screenshots and, for your reports, you can do a little screenshot and download it. You can put arrows to show what you're talking about in your reports, all these different little visual tools at your disposal. All right, so that is the imaging tab. I'm going to close out of that. And next, I'm going to take you down to the complaints and depositions section. So there's nothing here because, like I said, this is a hypothetical case. But if there were a bunch of depositions for me to review, they would be there in PDF format for me to look at, for me to, form my report and my response. There also could be some legal documents placed there for me to look at. And let's see, let's go next to timeline. So like I just kind of hinted at earlier, one of the amazing things about Verix AI that I feel like is so light years ahead of where I thought we would be at in 2026 is its ability to put together an incredibly accurate medical chronology. So from these 35 documents, it could do hundreds and hundreds of pages, thousands. You have it do your medical chronology, and that would be done down here, So that's already been put together for us by this, in this test case. But you would just click on timeline and then go over here to review that. And it has a little overview and all of the, everything appears here in order and by subject. You can click on that, give you a little synopsis, and then it has embedded the source of where it is pulling this information from. So there's no need to blindly trust. You can check this out and you just click that. Takes you right to the PDF of the medical record, shows you where it's getting that from. Again, there's that little synopsis there, and it'll take you right to the medical record. It has a easy plain language search function up here. So, whether you're a cardiologist or you're an attorney or an LNC, it's easy to just search for something. So let's say you're looking for the minimally invasive surgical or cervical spine surgery. So click that. Again, it links directly to where it's pulling this information from in the record, and you can just scroll through. So next, I'm going to show you, oh yeah, this is cool. It has a little timer up here so you can keep track of how long you've been working at it, and that's just a neat little function. So you can also, I had a little bit of a dialogue here briefly before I started the video, and I just kind of asked it some questions. Hey, was the left atrial volume index abnormal? It gave me an answer, and it links to the citations. So here, normal, 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 normal. All right, you can click and see where it's getting that from. Yep, there it is up there. And you can download this as a PDF. You can download this as a Word to use, to refer to or use in your reports. Also, over here is smart codes. So I don't work with ICD-10 codes at all myself, but it will go into the medical records and it'll extract those. So here's code 110, gives you a little, it auto detects those ICD-10 codes from the text, and it links to them in plain language explanation. So here it just kind of explains that, and it'll display the diagnostic codes, and you can click there and see where it's pulling that information from. So let's see, down here, 110, looks like here's some other codes. So we'll go back to the smart codes page, and this is just really helpful because it verifies the coding accuracy and clinical consistency, and it ties between documentation and the billing or causation. Let's check out the record integrity. So the purpose of that is it evaluates the completeness and the readability of the medical records, and it flags missing files, OCR issues, truncated pages, and incomplete sections that it might weaken case defensibility. You could use it, for identifying data gaps or corrupted text, that could undermine your expert review, and it just ensures that all records are legally sound and complete. And again, you can click there and it'll take you to the document. Now we'll check out gap analysis, and this just detects any missing data, continuity breaks, incomplete provider documentation across encounters, that sort of thing. And of course, it highlights absent pages, missing vitals, incomplete imaging, any, maybe unsigned reports or missing hemodynamic data, for example. And its use case would, it strengthen case chronology, and it confirm that clinical decision making can be reconstructed accurately. And it's got the gap type and interval there, little very plain language, as you can see. So it doesn't matter, what your background or who it is that's looking at this. It's just very intuitive. So next I'm going to show you the vulnerabilities tab here. So that just surfaces weaknesses or inconsistencies in the medical documentation, and they could be exploited in litigation. It flags documentation gaps, internal inconsistencies, compliance lapses, ambiguous charting, that sort of thing. And, it provides attorneys and experts with targeted, like a vulnerability map, if you will, to address before testimony or discovery takes place. And you can kind of get a sense of the information that this has, and then a little severity level. And then again, it links right to that record. So let's go check out deposition prep. This is a really cool tool. So I can just see, no matter what your deposition preparation process is, this just being a really cool function. So each of these little sections, has kind of key topics to explore. And again, everything is linked to. And here's section 2. It has like little sample questions by topic. So you can quiz yourself or, throw these in a flashcard app or something, that you use. You can put them on sticky notes and put them all around your kitchen, whatever process you use to get ready. And here's the links here. You could print this as a PDF or a Word document to review. So yeah, this is just a really cool little function to help people get ready. Like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I've only just started exploring Verix AI just this week, but a few highlights have really kind of bubbled to the surface for me. And the obvious biggest one is this idea of the human AI partnership. And to be honest, Verix AI, it's functioning a lot less like a tool than I would have expected. And it really is a true research partner. As you can see here, I'm having a dialogue with it. I just used the microphone function and just kind of threw some random questions at it. And, you can follow those threads further down the rabbit hole and click on those citations and follow up and read where it's getting those details from. Also, to be honest, I didn't think that we would see this level of precision and transparency in an AI in our space for many years to come. I didn't think we would be here in 2026. When I did the medical chronology function, and it's just pulling from the 36 raw medical records and the images, I told myself, I'm going to go through all these citations and check them and make sure they're accurate. If anything, librarians were very meticulous people. We get anxious about mistakes. And so when I got to the 60th out of 60 citation that I checked, and it was 100% accurate, 60 for 60, I stopped there and I just said, okay, I get it. This is incredibly precise. So yeah, I didn't think that we'd be here so quickly. I also feel like that level of, what used to take hours of manual cross-checking, it's condensed it into a few minutes of structured review without losing any of the nuance, the clinical nuance that attorneys and experts absolutely depend on. And in terms of litigation readiness, Verix AI, it's not just organizing data. It really thinks in terms of litigation, vulnerabilities, inconsistencies, and gaps, over here. And you're not just reviewing a chart. You're really getting a sense of how is this going to hold up in court. I don't think that this is an exaggeration to say that this is incredibly empowering to an expert or an LNC or an attorney, because it is helping you focus on medical reasoning. You're spending a lot less time on record chasing and focusing really on what the expert should be focusing on. So basically, in short, this is like having a second brain that's never missing a detail. It's built specifically for the medical legal world. This is not chat and all the other little ones that are very general and broad and your kids using for their science project. This is built specifically for the medical legal world to solve the real world pain problems that we have. I think it's also important to point out that this is rapidly evolving. And, if you watch this video in 2 months, there's going to be a lot more functions and features because these just got rolled out this week. So I'm going to drop a referral code into the notes. It is good for 50% off of your first case. So it's going to go from $99 down to $49 for up to 500 pages of medical records. Really the future of case preparation, it is not AI replacing expertise. It's AI partnering with experts to deliver clarity, speed, and insight. Thank you for watching my video on Verix AI put out by Core Metrics. I'm going to put out some other videos as they keep rolling new features and functions out. So thank you very much. Again, I'm Michael Graham from Graham Med Legal.